Hi guys, welcome to the video. So today we'll continue with the map creation process, and as I mentioned in the last video, we will take a look at the first step where we will try to improve the landscape appearance. So first I will start with the raise and lower option here in the first step of all those basic options, and also I will open this concept on my second monitor, but I mean right now we won't use it too much. The main thing here is to make some texture here, but you have to keep in mind that if you raise it too high or too little, your units won't be able to walk over it, and also you won't be able to build there. So first thing that we want to do before to start making any adjustments is that you want to press F6, and also you can go to view and here check the pathing, and this will show you where you can walk with your units and where you can't. So obviously here you can't walk because you are too close to the edge of this cliff. The same thing applies to water, even though it's shown here a little bit worse. But the main thing is that if you lower something or increase the height of that, like this purple area or pink area will appear at that point, and that means that units cannot walk up here. Yeah, so if I disable it again with F6, this is something that you will not be able to walk over. So if I change it, yeah, you can see this is like impossible. But you have to keep in mind that even if you create just small adjustment like this, so it's not purple, then you can walk over it like this, but I mean it's still too high to build buildings here. So that's also one thing that you have to keep in mind, that the purple area is only for units but not for buildings. You have to kinda test it in the game, what is okay for building and what is not. But right now I will just start making some adjustments here. So first thing I always like to do is to increase the areas that have this white texture, which is like I mean there is more snow obviously, so I think making it a little bit higher looks pretty okay, and maybe decrease the brush size a little bit to size 3. And now I will also decrease the height of this area where it's like a little bit more rocky, I would say, and that will make sure that everything looks pretty different, which is the most important thing if you want to make something look good. So you can always look from the side, yeah. Always make sure that you don't have like this flat space anywhere. Yeah, you can also play with it around the edge of the cliff, and I think this will be pretty much it. This is the only snow on the map, so this was pretty fast process, and right now it's basically just about adding some random shapes once again. Yeah, the map making process is really about lots of random things, because of course the nature is also pretty random. There are no straight lines usually, so you want to just follow that and also make everything pretty random. Yeah, so you are just holding your mouse button and moving it around. Maybe it's not the best idea to do it right here, because usually the road will be smoothed out when someone build it. So you can use the smooth button right here, or just go with Ctrl Z back few steps, and yeah, we'll keep the road straight. Right here it will be probably a little bit more tricky, because if I adjust it, it might ruin the transition here, and it will look pretty bad. So probably I won't touch it here, it doesn't really matter, it's just a small area. And here we'll just continue. Right now I'm just holding the left mouse button, which is increasing the height, while the right one would be decreasing it. Yeah, of course, if I at some point increase it too much, and those those small pink areas appear, I will just use the second button to decrease it a little bit and remove that. And yeah, you can also use the decrease button, but I feel like it usually looks better if you use the increase button. Of course, the best scenario would be to use both of them, and somewhere you would increase the area, somewhere you would decrease it. But if you want to make it quick and use just one of them, then I think the increasing factor is much better, and you can add some decreases later on as well. But right now I will just do it like this. Of course, as I said, we can check it how it looks like. If you get this black area when you are looking at it, just turn it around 180 degrees or something, and from this side you shouldn't get any black areas. So as you can see, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with this, so we probably don't have to decrease anything. This is pretty okay. Again, this is town, so probably it's good idea to keep it smooth. And if I want to adjust something later, we can. Of course, maybe I will delete some of this texture later, and we'll add some trees there as well, so the enemy can have blacksmith there and also harvest some wood. But I mean, that's something a little bit more associated with the with more textured appearance, yeah, more advanced appearance, I mean. So maybe when I will start playing with the trees and anything like that, uh, then I will take a look on those things. I mean, right now I'm playing with the raise and lower function, but that doesn't mean that after I am finished here that I cannot use it anymore. Of course, we can still use it later, as well as the terrains that I made here. It's just that right now I'm just doing the most amount of work that we'll have to do with this function, so I'm just doing it all at once everywhere on the map. Maybe we will actually decrease the height of this dirt road. As you can see, it looks quite okay, and the same thing will apply to this swamp road. But be careful when you are decreasing the area around water, because I will show you somewhere here. If you decrease it too much, it looks like this, and of course you don't want this to happen. It looks terrible, and you have to be careful with that. Increasing also doesn't look good, so always be careful where you are when you are doing those adjustments around some water area. Of course, we don't want to forget to save our map, so always press your Control S doing this work. And right now, again, we are just finishing this small shore, so this should be pretty easy. It's usually really quick when you have this big area. Right now I just decreased it here a little bit because we have just the green area here, so I want to make it a little bit different also in the height. And yeah, here I'm just moving a little bit faster, so we won't have that much texture, but I think it will still look pretty good. Of course, you'll definitely have to adjust some heights around the areas of players, because you will have to be able to at least build a town hall there, so you can mine. Of course, you'll probably have town hall here in the beginning, but if you defeat someone and he has a mine there and you cannot build anywhere close your town hall, then that would be pretty bad. So we'll have to make sure that that thing doesn't happen. Actually, I might try to adjust this, even though I said it wouldn't be a good idea. Maybe we can try something here. Yeah, that seems pretty okay. So yeah, let's keep it like this. And right now let's check all those areas. So here it looks pretty okay. Everything here is also fine. And let's check the shore. I think that looks also pretty good. I mean, it's really smooth around the water, but as I said, it's pretty dangerous to adjust it there. So I mean, if we tried, maybe I could make something like this. but also yeah, I have to press F6 so we see what are we doing. And yeah, let's make it pretty carefully, but we still want to have some texture, of course, not around the city, but yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Also, there are other functions like a level, so this is also something you can play with. It actually works like this. You are just you will choose the height here that you want. You can also go to minus numbers, and then it will just change the whole area to that exact height. So as you can see, it's just lowered and smoothened out a little bit. So this is how this works. Of course, right now it's just a small adjustment, but if I change it to like this, then you will see it will do this thing. So you can also use this, but in this map I won't do that. I already talked about the smooth tool, so you can just remove all adjustments of the height. And I mean there are some more complicated functions that I basically never used, and you probably don't need to use them as well. So yeah, I think we are done here. Right now let's take a look at the cave if we want to adjust something here, but I'm not too sure if that's a good idea to adjust this in cave. I actually don't know when I made the last cave. And if I did those adjustments here, also it looks pretty bad when you turn on the F6 function of view, because there are big areas where you cannot walk. But yeah, I will probably do some small height adjustments here as well. Again, I'm using only left button to increase, but you can use use the right one as well. And yeah, this area is pretty small, so it will be really quick. And yeah, maybe this is too much, but it didn't show me the purple area, so I think we are okay. And yeah, of course, let's check it. I mean, this is it's pretty hard to check it here. Yeah, we can see it from the other side, but I mean, you can walk there since there is no pink area, and I think it looks pretty okay as well. So we will keep it like this. So yeah, let's save it once more, and now we'll go back to the surface. I mean, I didn't really adjusted the swamp, but yeah, maybe let's take a look at that as well. But I will definitely have to use the smallest brush here and be pretty careful. Also, after you place an entity somewhere, it will automatically smooth the area below that entity. So if we add some trees later on here, it will just remove any adjustments that I make here right now. So it's maybe just a waste of time, but I mean we can just click few times here and let's see how it looks. Also I see here this is not looking too good, so I will fix that as well. Yeah, of course we are working on something, but if I see some mistakes from the previous things that I did in the last steps, I mean previous steps, I will just fix it, and so I don't have to worry about it later. So we'll just choose the swamp lake, same level, smallest brush, and just click in this area a few times, and as you can see it's just adjusting it. So we will just be, you just have to click multiple times until you are satisfied with how it looks. Yeah, we can adjust more here, but I mean it looks pretty okay. Yeah, the same thing is here, so we can probably also fix it. And right now I think it should be maybe also here, but yeah, you don't have to fix that. Yeah, I just didn't like the look of it, so I just clicked a few times, and now I'm more satisfied with it. But the more you do this, the more you will see all those imperfections. So of course, if you do this too often, you won't move anywhere. So it's probably just a better idea to ignore it and move on. So that's also exactly what we are going to do right now. Uh, I mean, I will check the length of this video, but yeah, maybe we can we can also do a little bit more. So let's take a look on the trees. I think that will be the most important thing to make the map look good. So first you have to decide what kind of trees you want to use. Of course, you'll find them in entities, in neutral, and in trees. I also showed this in the basic map making tutorial, but I will mention the basic things once again. So of course, since it's just a tree, it will always be a neutral passive property of player, I mean. So you don't have to change the player right here. You can just place them right away. Also, I just left click it to select it, and then if you right click on it, you will see this table. You can also adjust the amount of wood in it, so those are all the stuff. And also, maybe actually before we add those trees, I will actually maybe add resources for each player first. So that's actually right above the trees. There are resources, and here we have the gold field, mineral field, and gem mine. Also, you have goods, but yeah, maybe we might use those in the city right here. But first thing you will have to that you will have to do for this is actually setting up a base, and I mean that's not quite part of this video because of course that will be here basic resources. So yeah, I actually won't do resources right now. Let's go back to trees. Let's not waste any more time. So there are multiple types of trees. You also have burn trees here. So if you want to add some destroyed area, yeah, maybe we might do this here or in the cave, but right now I will just use normal trees probably. Also there are giant trees, so definitely giant pines look pretty good, giant swamp tree as well, but of course those giant trees are pretty weird. This actually doesn't even seem to work, so just this one. But I actually like it quite a lot, so I will maybe add one of those here. It's pretty special. Again, you want to use the F6 button so you can see where you can walk. Of course, you cannot walk through this, but sometimes when you place a tree somewhere or any entity, and you have like a high point and low point next to each other, like for example here, then it might create a too harsh edge, and it will create a point where you cannot walk. So then you will have to go back here and fix that problem. So that's the reason why you always want to use the F6 button. So yeah, so as you can see here we have just normal trees, dead trees, again we'll use them here, swamp trees for the swamp, cave trees for cave, and pines. You usually want to use those around like high points, so probably on those cliffs and those kinds of stuff. And then we have the desert trees. They probably won't fit in this map, but if you had to send somewhere or something, you could definitely use them. Also in the past I also use them just on the snow because they are just white and it just looks pretty good on the snow. But of course if someone clicks on it, they will see the name desert tree, so maybe not the best idea to do that, but if you care only for the looks, you can also do that. So yeah, actually here we might just use the pines because this is an increased area, so I think it will look good. Again, I'm looking on the concept on my other monitors, so all those green areas with trees will be just covered with trees as well. So let's just do this again. It's just pretty random. You don't want to build like this because again, of course, as first it looks pretty bad, and second of all, you wouldn't be able to walk through this with your units. Also, it wouldn't look natural. So let's just make it really random here. Also, keep in mind that right now when we have the F6 option enabled, you see those you see those purple areas around every tree, so it actually looks pretty weird, and you definitely want to disable it after you place some trees and take a look on it without it. And I think this looks pretty okay, so I will keep it like this. And of course I haven't drawn in the concept any trees here, because it will just look pretty weird if I just draw one there. But of course in reality we can also add some trees around this cliff, and maybe just few around here. And here you can see, this is what I was talking about. I just clicked here and it created this occasion where you wouldn't be able to walk there. So you can either go to raise slower and try to adjust it manually, or just click smooth and maybe increase the brush size a little bit and just click once or twice, and it will fix this issue pretty simply. So this is this area. Right now we will go down here. Here I will definitely use just those normal trees. So this is actually a pretty big area, so let's cover it all. There will be no objectives, no enemies, so you don't really have to worry about that possibility too much if your units can pass through this area. But of course, and here this is again. Right now, of course, you can fix it after each time this happens, but if you want, you can just place all trees at once and then go back and fix all those problems. But I prefer to do it one by one, so I don't forget it. Because I might not be able to remember right everything where it was. And yeah, this is probably okay. Also, I didn't draw anything here, but I think it will look pretty good if we add more trees here, because of course in the concept art those areas were not that big. The road was actually basically super close to this cliff, or maybe I should have made the cliff bigger or something. But of course, yeah, we are just going to make those adjustments uh, as I mentioned in the first video as well. It's just a concept art that I made really quickly, so definitely don't have to follow it exactly. So again, disable the F6, and as I can see right now, there are some spots that I would like to cover as well. So that's the main reason why we are doing it. I mean, if it gives me multiple, or I mean the same tree multiple times in a row or something, then I will just click once, then go back with Ctrl Z and wait for a better tree, because of course all those trees are generated randomly from a pool of like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 different trees. So it's probably a good idea to not place like five of the same tree next to each other. Also, all those areas are actually not covered by trees in that concept, but again, that would look pretty stupid, I would say. So I will definitely add some trees here. We basically want those roads to be also functional, so I want the player to walk there and not just that it looks like a road. So of course, if we make trees all around here, I mean the player will have no other option, because walking through those forests would be a really big pain, I would say. So also, this is also another thing you can do. If this happens, you can just try to place another tree on the opposite side of this purple area, and it might fix it. But as you can see, it might also create another problem. So then it's just better to fix it manually, and that will work fine as well. So here we have also pretty big area. Right now I'll just leave it and fix it after that, because obviously this area I just made too uneven, so this wouldn't work too well. Again, this area is much bigger in reality than it was in the concept, so we'll definitely have to adjust it a little bit here. So I will add much more trees down here, and we have to leave a space for that mercenary that I drew there and also talked about in the first video. And I mean, since we are using those small walls and you cannot walk on them, I will probably just cover this area as well. If I use the bigger ones, I will just probably leave it free so you can fight the enemy archers that will be on them or something. But right now I don't even know how I will build it yet. So yeah, let's leave it like this. Again, F6. Maybe some of those areas around the water are a little bit too empty, but I think this looks pretty okay. So let's leave it like this, maybe some more trees. And now, yeah, this is also in the concept that we have to cover this again, F6. And yeah, this is creating a lot of those areas. I mean, you can leave them there, but then of course you won't be able to pass through them with your units. So if you don't mind it, you can also leave them there. Also, I mean, there are still many ways where you can walk, but I just like to make it possible everywhere, and I like to fix it. So it's not mandatory, yeah, it's kind of optional, but I would suggest you to fix that because it will make the map much more playable and fun to play, of course, which is the main factor of those maps, because the main point why we are creating them is to entertain, of course. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. So right now I will need to go back here, smooth and fix all those areas. Hopefully I don't miss any. That's the danger of fixing it afterwards, that you might not see all the mistakes that you made. Or I mean, those are not mistakes, but it just randomly happened that it made those areas. And yeah, we can also check it from the other side. As you can see, this is also pretty fun that trees in Armies of Exigo are actually just flat like this, and they just look pretty good from front, but if you look from back you will see actually nothing. So uh, maybe something you didn't know if you haven't worked in the editor yet, or if you haven't moved the camera. So pretty interesting fact. Also, the minimap is starting to look much better, I would say, after adding all those trees. So that's also pretty good. And now let's get to this shore. As I mentioned in the previous video, I believe this whole area will be covered with lots of trees. So that's gonna take some time. And maybe actually let's make it not so close. All those trees, not make them too close to each other. So it's just an area covered with some trees, but it doesn't have to be unpassable forest or something. Uh, so we can just make it like this, and I think it will also look pretty good. And actually I might also add some pines here, but I don't know, that probably wouldn't look too good, so let's keep it like this. Also I think we'll add some trees here, even though they are again not in the concept art, but I think it looks okay. And then there are actually some in the concept drawing right here. So let's create some small forest, some areas where you can harvest some trees. Here we have some building space, so definitely I will need to smooth it a little bit. And here will be the camp. So actually I will just add some trees there after we get to that. I think it would be also nice to add some trees around this water here, so maybe like this. And yeah, this is the one green area, so let's cover it with some trees. Again, you just have to play with it a little bit and try to make it as good as you can. Maybe we can make it, maybe we can make more trees down here, but as I mentioned, we don't have to always make those kinds of forests. It can be a little bit more empty. So yeah, I think this looks kinda good. After we add some stumps, branches, stones and everything, it will look even better. And right now let's get to this last area. So as I mentioned, I will try to add some pines here because this is an increased area. So let's make it like this. As I mentioned, I want to maybe add some soldiers here later on, so we'll need to keep some space here, but I think this is pretty good. And this will be basically the same case. I really like the look of all those pines, so pretty happy to use them. But if you like some other trees, you can also use them more. And as I mentioned, we'll also maybe add some of those giant pines. I don't even know if you can. Yeah, you cannot harvest those giant trees, but I mean, obviously you cannot harvest this, but I thought that you maybe could harvest this, but you obviously cannot. So also keep that in mind. Uh, Also here maybe we could add one of those big giant pines, maybe another one here. And actually, how I'm looking here, I can see that we missed something in the last part when we were playing with the grass 7, and actually I didn't edit here, so let's fix that really quickly. Yeah, and once again the same thing happened. I just found some mistake from previous steps, so just fix it and move on. In this area I mentioned we might add some of those other trees, so maybe the burnt trees as I said, but that probably won't look too good. Also seems like all of them are the same, so actually let's skip that and let's go straight to the dead trees. Those ones look pretty good, and we can start from here. So I mean, you start walking through this path and you already don't know that something is off, that this area is probably not the best place to be in, and you will probably have to fight some enemies here, but also enemies usually bring a reward with them, and in this case it will be in the form of an expansion and some treasures in the cave. So maybe actually I will leave some more space here so it's easier to walk up here. Maybe this tree is okay. And again F6, I'm pretty satisfied with this. And the last area that we have to cover here is the swamp. So let's add some swamp trees. Maybe start with the giant swamp tree if we can even fit it here. I think this will be the best area for it. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And now just some small swamp trees around here as well. Don't have to add too many of them, but I always like a lot of trees everywhere, so this will be probably pretty okay. Yeah, we cannot fit any more of them here. And as I said, it will just make the area flat once again, so it was kind of wasted time where I was trying to adjust the height of those areas in the swamp, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. The trees are more important than keeping the adjusted height or something, so I will be happy to replace it like this. And yeah, maybe let's leave it like this so you can walk through it more easily. And of course this looks also pretty decent, I think. So right now everything should be covered. Let's check it a little bit. Of course, I don't know what we'll do here. Maybe actually a good idea might be to create a garden here or something. So maybe some interesting terrain and some trees. Not know which one I would choose, but that might be something interesting. But I think that would be a part of. I actually don't know. Maybe even a part of the point number 8, where we'll be creating this story and everything. But maybe a 5 and 6, where we'll be adding entities in the step 6. So maybe when I will be adding some houses here, I can create a garden in that step. But right now it wouldn't make too much sense, I would say. So let's save the map and also add those cave trees in the underground. So again, I'm watching on my second monitor my concept art, and here I will just probably go around with those trees. Again, press F6. But I mean, right here, no one will go here because you have no reason to go there. I mean, you could create a blacksmith here and harvest some trees, but I don't see too much reason in that. And yeah, here are some trees, and also here this whole area is actually covered. So maybe something like this. And here actually I would like to have some spiders. I can imagine that being pretty interesting. So hopefully I will remember that for the step 6, where we'll be adding the entities. And of course, once we will start with the trigger editor, we'll probably also add some more triggers that will be associated with this. Yeah, so the spider can maybe drop some item or something. So yeah, I will definitely need to remember a lot of things for the future videos, so I don't forget something, but hopefully I will not, and will be able to make it pretty nice. Here I need to leave some space for the expansion, and here we can continue with some trees, maybe connected with this. I don't think it's a good idea to add them here, but maybe this is also good. So yeah, I think this looks pretty good. As you can see, there are some bugs with shadows, but it doesn't really matter in this case because, as I said, this whole area will be covered in black because there will be no lights, so we don't have to worry about that. I mean, right now it looks a little bit off, all those cave trees, but once we add the lighting, I think it will look much better. So yeah, I think this is everything for this video, and in the next step, we will add some more entities like bushes, rocks, and stumps, branches, and mushrooms. So yeah, take care, guys.